Hi Year 6, welcome to today's project. Now I know we're learning about the Great Barrier Reef, so I thought I'd come up with something creative of one of the creatures that you might find inside the reef. So today we're going to make a seahorse out of toilet rolls. Now if you don't have any toilet rolls, you can use bits of card, which I have eaten all the biscuits, I'm afraid, or anything that you've got lying around before it goes into the recycling bin. So this one has been made with bits of card, and I'm going to use a bit of the toilet roll just to show you how that would work. You might need some straws. I didn't have any straws, so I made a straw by rolling some paper around a pencil and just sticking with a little bit of tape, and you only really need the straw to make this raised section of our seahorse. If you don't have any paper, a little bit of newspaper, something that you could just raise up to give it a little bit height. You obviously need a little bit of glue. I've just got some white glue. Any sort of glue that you've got at home, that should be fine. So I'm going to do this in sections, and we're going to start with the body next. So before we do the first section of the body, of course we need to draw a template or an outline for us to have a little guide. So I've got this one here, which I've just drawn so that you can see, and I'll take a picture of that and put that on. But I need a fairly largish circle for the body, one for the head. You may not be able to see this on the blue paper, which is why I did it on the black. I've got our neck, and this is just to guide the nose and then the tail. You don't necessarily have to stick to it, but it just gives you a little bit of a guide of where it's going to go. Okay, first thing I need is my raised up sections. Now I've taken this from that A4 piece of paper that was rolled around a pencil and literally just cut in half to make the two sections. If you haven't got the straws, or if you haven't got any paper, you could crumple up a little bit of newspaper, and all we're then going to do is a nice blob of glue. I'm going to put that all the way along there, and it's sort of in the middle of the section of the body circle. So that's just to give a little bit of a raised area for our body. Okay, it's gone on that circle there. So I take my toilet roll, I've cut down one side, I'm going to cut down the other side. So I've got these shapes, and I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller. I'm not going to cut it all because I might only need those 4, because I'm then going to cut those in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're going to create the sides. Now they might be a little bit too long, but I can cut them down later on. So I'm going to put a blob of glue on one side. I'm using white glue because that's all I've got at home. Whatever type of glue you've got will be fine. I do need to leave mine to dry a little bit, so there will be breaks. But a little bit of glue on the edge, and so they rest up on those paper straws or newspaper or extra bits of card. If you do have white glue, someone's got white glue at home and you haven't got a spatula or something. You can also use a bit of card to put your glue on with as well. So I might get one more in to finish off that side. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side so that I've got two sides resting. So, because I'm not quite sure how to fast forward, I'm going to leave that there and I'm going to carry on doing all the way down. Join me in a bit. So, once all the sides are on, that's my last piece for there, I'm going to start to cover like I've done here. So, this is where again, half of that toilet roll. Now, if you don't have the toilet roll, you can cut up bits of card, this is from a Jaffa Cake box, into small strips, and to create that curve, just use your pencil with a thumb, and that creates the curve. So now we're going to put them over our top. So this could be a little bit tricky, and because I've got the white glue, I need to spend a bit of time holding it to make sure it goes in place. I might put a little bit just on the sides as well. And I'm just going to cover, it's resting on the straws and the sides. So I'm just going to hold it for a few seconds to let the white glue just take. I'm going to take another piece. Again, just bend it over. You can either with a pencil or your fingers. Enough glue. Hold those down for a few seconds just so it takes. And you're going to carry on doing that all the way down the middle section of the body. So we've come all the way down with the middle. Now we're going to start to look at the neck. So with part of the toilet roll, this time you're going to cut, but not totally into sections. You're going to leave a little bit of a gap at one end. Probably about 1 centimetre or so. Now again, if you don't have toilet roll, any piece of card, I'm just going to cut, leaving a little edge, so you're not cutting all the way through, a little bit like a fringe. And I've got one here, and then just to curl it, just with your pencil, oops, just to curl each of the pieces. You can use your finger as well. Now this might not be long enough. No, that's just not long enough on that one, so I'm going to use this one. I might use that for something else. So this is where I've got to have a bit of a bend, and it gets a little bit quite tricky because I do need to actually bend the cardboard. So I'm just sort of manoeuvring it so it creates a curve. So it doesn't matter if it rips, because you can do it in sections. So I'm going to follow my line that I drew earlier with my glue, because I'm going to need quite a lot of glue on this to make sure it sticks. I'm also going to put a little bit on the back. Of my box. And then starting at the top of the body, I'm going to press it and squeeze it. Don't worry if you can see the glue because we're going to cover that. So press that down. We're going to cover those creases. You might just have to hold it depending on what glue you're using, just to make sure it's stuck nice and firm. So that was my first line. I've got a second line here, and all I've done is cut up some smaller pieces that I'm just going to create a little bit of a fan. So these are smaller pieces of cardboard. They're not all the same size, so it doesn't matter. I haven't curled any of these, but you can do if you want to. Oops. Takes a bit of time for the white glue. To stick these, and I'm going to carry on round until I've gone all the way, and then I will do a second row. Carry on until I've covered that neck area. So I've gone all the way round with just smaller pieces. I do then just want to cover that end bit. So I'm just going to put a dollop of glue on both ends. And just sort of cover the end, just to make it a little bit neater. Might not stick, I might have to just squash it down. No, that's not going to stick. But so the next section we're going to do is the head and the eye. Now we need to do the eye first. So I've got a small piece of card that I've cut, again, like I've frayed, not all the way through, and I'm just teasing it with my fingers just to sort of bend it round. Now this is too long, but I'm going to turn it and create it so I can probably cut off those two at the end. Don't need those two. Let's see what that looks like. I potentially could cut off a couple more. Let's get rid of that one. And then I'm going to fix this first before I put it onto my page. I'm going to turn that to make it the eye. Just going to press that for a minute, first of all. Because then that's going to go there. And it's going to raise up a little bit, because hopefully my next one, which again, another piece of card that can give it a little bit of curl with a pencil, or you can use your toilet roll, whichever you've got more of. Again, I'm just turning it just to break the card a little bit, and if it rips, I'll do it in sections. That's going to go around the eye. So that should now have stuck. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each of the ends of my frayed. You get a bit mucky with this, but that's okay. And in my circle, I'm not going to squash it. Oops, that's a bit too squashed. Raise it up a little bit. I'm just going to... Don't worry if they don't stick, which they're not doing very well, because the other one we're going to put around it. So even if you only get a couple to stick. Okay, and then this one is going to go around over the top. So a fair amount of glue on my curve, and I might just put a little bit on the actual card. I might just move that out of the way so that you can see. And then I'm going to start at one end and gently push down. And again, I'm just going to have to hold it because I'm using the white glue. It just takes a little bit of time to stick. Press down, that's not too bad. I think I need a little bit more to come round here. It's not quite gone all the way around, so a little bit of card, that's a little bit too big, so let me cut that down. And again, I'm creating this fan. So not cutting all the way through. I think that should be enough. I'm just twisting it a little bit. And then hopefully that will go all the way round, yes. So, again, bit of glue on the back. And a bit of glue around. See if I can stick that bit down as well, the base. Squoze it down. And open that up a little bit so it's got a little bit of space for the nose. Okay, there we go. There's its head done. Okay, so now just for the nose, which is a rectangular strip of just a flat piece of card, plenty of glue, coming out from his head, and then just a thin piece at the end. And let that dry. So we're going to start on the tail now. So I'm going to use these pieces that I didn't use earlier and totally cut them off. But you'll notice on this one, it gets smaller as I go round. So I can use those two first, but I will need to cut that one. And I might just place a few more, cutting down as I go to make them smaller each time. So I've got a few in place and that I know are smaller each time. So I do need to flatten these a little bit, particularly one end, because I then need to add my glue. And I need to attach or just press down just need to try whatever works for you, whatever glue you've got, gently press down. So they're following that curve that I drew earlier. Glue on the edge. Just press down. You might want to start overlapping as you get onto the corner, so I'll do those three. Oops. Spodge glue on that one, just press that down a little bit. And on this one, I might put a little bit underneath because I'm going to overlap this one so it goes over and I can press that so it touches that other bit of card. And a little bit underneath and on the edge so it overlaps and sticks. And then I'm going to carry on down with more small pieces. So I'm just finishing off the last little bit of the tail, overlapping just at the end. Just leave that to dry. Okay, so we've got the fin section and the little spikes. So, trapezium shape, and again making them fringed. I've got two pieces. And to make the spikes, just a thin piece, and all I'm doing is just creating triangle shapes. For the spikes. Okay, so I'm just going to bend them. In fact, I might use my pencil a little bit just to curl them a little bit. They can overlap. Push those down so they stick. And then the spikes can be dotted around. Oops. Dotted around along the tail area. Maybe one more there. And I might put a couple of spikes just up. Oops. Oh. Just up here. To finish on that, I might put one more down there. Let's see what I've got. I've got that one. One more spike to fill that gap there. So there's my 2 starfish. No, they're not starfish, they're seahorses, made out of bits of recycled cardboard, toilet rolls. Have a go and then post your ideas. See you soon.